Hello, in this new self-service video, we will show you the new SLP Modular Process Framework feature that was released in 2021. It provides a flexible way to define qualification processes leveraging modular questionnaire features, and it also supports custom supplier lifecycle processes. Before the demo, let's review the previously existing challenges, what the solution offers, and an important note about the enablement of this new feature. Regarding the challenges, SLP used to have a fixed set of lifecycle processes, registration, qualification, prefer, each with a single configurable template, while lifecycle processes could be different per supplier type, commodity, region, or department scope. Also, certain type of qualification processes could require information from internal users only, with no supplier involvement, and this was not supported in the tool. Lastly, data collected in one questionnaire cannot be reused in another process, resulting in suppliers potentially having to provide the same data multiple times. What does the solution offer? Modular Process Framework provides a flexible, repeatable framework for creating different supplier management processes for different types of suppliers using different combinations of modular supplier management questionnaires. This is not only limited to qualification projects, but covers also custom processes, for instance, for due diligence, data privacy, or pre-registration processes. Process projects allows you to tailor questionnaire content to specific supplier regions or categories, and to leverage and reuse modular questionnaires across different processes. Important before enabling this feature, take into account that enabling it will immediately disable the creation of new projects from the legacy supplier qualification type. And it will also introduce other restrictions to legacy qualification. So read carefully the help documentation, define your new processes, and then implement them, take it into account how to transition from legacy supplier qualification projects to the new modular processes. Now let's see how modular process framework works in the system for defining qualification processes or custom processes. In this case, I'm showing the supplier profile for this supplier. It's in status register, not qualified. And before we go into qualification, let's see processes. Here we can see all the processes, both qualification or custom, these suppliers has gone through. In this case, for all commodities, Europe, a pre-registration process, a custom one. This is the status that is customly defined for each process type with custom display name and translations into different languages. This is the process. We see here the process type. The scope is based on the answers to the intake form. In this case, there were two versions, and we can see the different answers. And the different questionnaires that were already filled out by the supplier and approved internally, and the score. And based on this, the decision maker of this process type decided that the status is pre-register. The decision maker is a powerful role, and he can not only decide this status that could have been also been defined by automatic rules, if you configure that optionally, but if it's a decision maker doing this manually, he could even later change the status to a different one, adding a comment, and he could even change the initial scope that was defined when initiating this process. So let's see this example of a pre-registration process to collect information before it could happen before the supplier is registered, and also before the qualification process starts. If we go to qualifications, we will see that we have two tabs. One for legacy qualifications, those qualifications created before modular process framework is enabled in each system. In this case, none, like here we will see past information. And since the new modular process framework is enabled in a system, in a realm, you will see the process qualifications, and all new qualification processes will go through this new modular process framework. Let's create one qualification process. Here we will see all the qualification processes that you define in the master data of the modular process framework feature. You can have qualification process per specific category or region or external or internal, and you can name them as better fits your requirements or your internal processes. In this case, I will select the general supplier qualification, that is, we have configured it as external only qualification. And based on this process type, we see the intake form to define the scope. Let's define it to all commodities, region Europe. So I will show you a specific form, a questionnaire is shown for this region. Enter the expiration details of the process, full process, not of each questionnaire that will have different settings. And then, based on the process type, based on this content scope defined in the intake form, and the different questionnaires that are available, the user initiating this process can decide have a list of questionnaires to decide which ones to incorporate into the process. And we will see them differentiating them by new questionnaires the supplier has not replied to yet, and existing questionnaires that the supplier has already replied to, in this case as part of the custom pre-registration process that I showed you before. Each questionnaire can be defined as mandatory like this one or optional like all these three. And each questionnaire when creating the template can be defined as external or internal or for a specific region or category. In this case, I'm going to select these two that the supplier already provided the information for, but I'm not going to request any updates. I will just include them in the process for reference for the decision maker to be able to review this information from the process. But since the expiration date is still 1 year from now, there is no need to request any update. And from the other questions, I will review the supplier generic specific and the EMEA supplier specific. This EMEA supplier qualification questionnaire was included because I specified region Europe, and this was a specific one for some commodities since I included all commodities is there. But it's not specific for that commodity, this process. So I will just select the one generic one and the EMEA specific. Next step is for the process initiator to define which are the recipients for each questionnaire. In this case, these are external questionnaires, so I could change the primary contact decided by default by another supplier contact. I will leave it at this. I could add a message, and then I can submit it for the supplier to reply to those questionnaires. The process has been created, it's in creation, later it will move to in progress, and will move to the supplier view. So now I have switched to the supplier view on the ACP Business Network, Ariba Proposals and Questionnaires section. We can see all the questionnaires, and at the bottom we can see Supplier Lifecycle Processes section, showing all the processes this supplier is involved. The previous custom pre-registration process that we saw that it was completed with the status pre-register, and the new one, supplier qualification process, that we see already in status in progress. So here we can see all the different certificates, not responded yet. I will reply to one with the proper answers. Including an attachment, just a sample one. And submit the response. So back to SLP with the process initiator. In this case, my user has all the permissions, all the roles, process initiator, decision maker, approver of the questionnaires, so I can show everything in one row. I see the status is in progress. And I can see the different questionnaires. These were already replied and approved before we started the process. This is the one that I have submitted with the supplier, and this one that I have submitted out of the recording. The EMEA one was configured for auto approval, while the generic one has specific approval and is pending. So see, each question has different approval. I will go here, review information. I could request additional information, but I will just approve it. And now the status is decision maker. To change the status, pending decision. See, now I'm the decision maker. All the information is here. Questions have been approved. Some could have been denied. Some could have a bad scoring. But it's up to the decision maker to decide what to do, to make the decision. So I will say, yes, we can qualify the supplier, add some comment, and now the supplier will show as qualified, and this information will be shared with other ACP Ariba solutions like guided buying or guided sourcing. In this video, we have provided a brief overview and demo about the new modular process framework and how to apply it for both supplier qualification and custom processes. If you have any further questions, please contact your ACP Ariba customer success partner or visit help.acp.com, ACP Ariba Supply Lifecycle and Performance Product section for more information. Thank you for watching.